So they're going to DS12, and the part of me that was internally screaming for them to go to DS9 was overruled by the fact that they probably were nowhere near the Bajornan wormhole. And that sucks. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park, and this is Approach to Nerd. And in this episode, we are reviewing episode 8 of season 1 Picard, entitled Broken Pieces. So there are a lot of things that were revealed about the prophecy in this episode. We got to learn about more of the events that led to Commodore O and Rizzo, or if you're going to call her Narissa, doing all of these shady things that they've been doing along with Narek in order to destroy all of synthetic life. We get like a little intro scene at the beginning of the episode that talks about this thing called the Riddle of the Eight Folding Stars, where basically it's a civilization that existed over 200,000 years ago that took 8 suns and aligned them up and got a planet and threw it in there, and it was basically like an instant message saying, hey, I got to tell you something, and this is the only way I think you're going to pay attention. So we learned that technology or basically synthetics and advanced technology and the abundance of synthetics apparently caused a major disaster, and that this message that the Romulans were receiving is basically a warning that it's about to happen again. And we've learned that the Zat Vash was actually created because of this, and that Narissa, of course, Commodore O, who is half Vulcan, who I would love to know the story behind that. It's an interesting mix. Were basically part of the group of women that were looking into this like object that they left on this planet, that when you touched it, it showed you what was going to happen, or at least showed you what happened thousands of years ago to the civilization that was destroyed. And it was a very gruesome scene because, and Commodore O did say, you're either going to become stronger if you see this, or you're going to go crazy. And a lot of the members of Zot were basically driven insane, and they shot themselves. One was clawing their skin off. I mean, it was gross. But Narissa and her aunt, who just happens to be Ramda, so Narek and Rizzo's aunt is Ramda, was driven insane to the point where she was in so much despair when her ship got assimilated by the Borg. Her despair apparently broke the Borg cube. I mean, it's pretty impressive. So yeah. Now my theory on this is that, and this only because I love Star Trek and I love DS9. DS9 was one of my favorite shows. I remember the Iconians. The Iconians were a race of very advanced technological people who basically were like the Atlanteans in our lore. They died out. And the Iconians have been linked to a lot of stuff that have gone down, even including the destruction of Romulus. So my money is that this was actually a message from the Iconians. That's what I think. I mean, the timeline would work because they were supposedly wiped out 200,000 years ago, and they're talking about something that happened 200,000 years ago. I'm just throwing that out there. I may be off my rocker, but I know some people I'm friends with that we talk about the show think that maybe, it's probably the Q, and they're warning us because, humans are their playthings and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I don't think so, because Q never seemed to have a problem with data that I recall, and he got his kicks from torturing Picard. So, I mean, I don't see that playing out, honestly. But Iconians that's what I think. I think that is what's going on. So, yeah, so we had the big prophecy. The episode itself, it was a very smooth transition for me because it went from dealing with all of the stuff, and I guess they had no choice because we have 2 episodes left. We're basically sprinting to the finish line at this point. We had so much exposition in like the first 5 to 6 episodes. 7 was more of a reunion with Riker, and Deanna, and seeing how their life was at post Enterprise or TNG. And now we're in the home stretch of this is what's actually going on, which I wish they had started some of this revelation a little bit earlier, but hey, whatever. But anyway, so this is my summary of the episode for closure purposes. Jurati is awake. She feels like crap for killing Maddox. She's offering to turn herself in when they get to DS-12. She said that O put poison in her head. She didn't want to talk about it because apparently there's a psychic block in her head. Maybe because we already saw what happened with the Zot Bosch when they tried to see it. I mean, O took a risk because if her girls who are like mentally stronger than I'm assuming Aggie should be, were driven to insanity. Giving that type of knowledge to a normal human is interesting. Unless she didn't give her the full story. I don't know. But she put poison, apparently, Jurati says, in her mind. And so she's feeling very, very, very guilty about it. She finally meets Soji and they have this moment. And she's like, I'm not going to kill you. Now that I met you, I can't do it. So everybody knows about the betrayal. Everyone's dealing with that. Rios, we learn, basically he was on the ship with a captain named Vandermeer, who he basically called Pops in his head. He thought it was like more of, it was a father figure situation basically to him. And we learned that they were out and they came across like kind of like a diplomatic, like emissary type situation where two people, one named Beautiful Flower and another named Jaina, who looks exactly like Dosh, were taken aboard. And his captain, who he idolized, was ordered by who we later learn is Commander O on the other end, and threatened to basically shoot them in the head. And at the time, Rios is like, what the heck? I mean, I don't think he understood that they were synthetics. I don't know what he thought. He just knows that the guy he idolized just walked in there, dined and wine with them, and then shot him in cold blood. And the Captain Vandermeer does say that it's because they threatened his ship to blow up his ship with everybody on it. But he ends up killing himself after that. So that's sad, and that's why Rios has so many issues. But the journey for us to actually get that revelation is funny because Raffi like goes through all of his holograms, you know, and just starts probing them, and it's a hilarious scene. It's very, very hilarious. All of those 5 broken pieces of Rios are hysterical. Then we also have this weird thing where Soji automatically knew Jaina's name, automatically knew, she starts seeing and realizing things about who she is. She knows things about Borg technology, how they use their, you know, how to travel using their network, which is interesting because if I go back to my Iconian theory, the Iconians have it's a network of gateways where they could travel anywhere through time instantaneously, which is another reason why I think it's the Iconians that left that warning message and the Romulans are just like taking it forward. But yeah, what I want to know is though, how are they all connected? Like they're on this planet that Maddox went to continue his work, or basically Dr. Sung's work, to build like the perfect synthetic, which technically, I love Data. But technically he is successful because Soji is much more human-like than Data was. And that's just the truth. And I wonder if there's a planet full of synthetics exactly like Soji. And do they all look like Soji? Because Dodge looks like Soji. Maybe all of them look like Soji. I don't know. And I'd love to see what the men look like. Are they clones of Data? Maybe we're going to have Data come back in that capacity. That's how they bring him back. We're going to have a planet full of Datas and Sojis. But it's just interesting that she kind of knew it was Jaina. Like, how are they neural linked? Like, how are they connected that way? It's interesting. I have a lot of questions. This opened a lot of questions for me. I'm like, there's so much like information that honestly, we're getting a lot of content. I'm just trying to piece it all together because I love doing that. But yeah, I'm just this whole Jaina, Beautiful Flower, Soji connection, Soji knowing all this stuff, her knowing about the Borg cube technology when, yeah, she was assigned to the Borg. But how does she know everything about the Borg cube? You know what I mean? It's really weird. And then my favorite part of this episode was 7 of 9, waking up all the Borgs and basically being forced to assimilate them again because Narissa was going to blast them all out into space and was taking over the cube. That scene, though, where she's like, we are the Borg, I was like, oh, that was hot. Like, that was hot. But I felt so bad when she started launching them all out into space. Oh my gosh, that was, especially since they were connected, so she felt that. So yeah, last week it's Hugh, now 7 to 9, and it's like, ugh. But at least she was strong enough to break the link, because she did say if she did this, she didn't know she would want to separate from them. Because I guess, I mean, it is hard to resist that. You know, that was your life for so long. She was assimilated as a child, so that makes sense. I don't know. I just felt all of it. Like even with Elnor, him hugging 7 to 9 and saying, you know, he was so childlike. It was like, oh, and he's like, oh, you're gonna assimilate me now? And I'm like, what? I don't know. Elnor came off to me to be kind of really badass in the beginning, but you can definitely see the little boy that Picard left behind in this episode. So here's to me thinking that maybe since the Zat Vash and the fleets are all heading towards Soji's planet, and Picard and his crew, thanks to Soji hacking, you know, the coordinates in, and then convincing Rios using guilt and Jaina to take her home, are heading there to try and beat them. That this is going to be awesome. And I think that 7 to 9 and Elnor are probably going to be back up for them, because they were going to DS-12, where Clancy, which by the way, the scene where Clancy tells him, shut the F up, that was funny to me. I know probably people are triggered by that, but Picard does kind of go on and he gets kind of heated really quickly. It could be the neurological condition, but he does like bam, 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 get really aggressive really quickly. And she's like, I'm trying to talk. Okay, with all due respect, shut the F up. I'm sending you back up. You know, I thought that was awesome. But I'm hoping 7 to 9 and Elnor are like the actual backup, because they're not heading to the station now. They're heading to Soji's world, where they aren't going to have any backup. So it's going to be their little ship and whatever's on that planet versus all of Narissa's, you know, ships. And I'm pretty certain I saw another ship follow them into the wormhole to get to the planet, and I'm pretty sure that was Narek. And honestly, if that is Narek, he better be prepared for an A-whooping, because Soji made it clear to Jurati that she was not going to give her a chance to kill her. She is activated, so a Romulan is strong, but a Romulan is not going to beat a Sith. So, I'm just saying. But yeah, I enjoyed this episode. There's probably stuff that I left out. I hope not. I mean, there was a lot of information. I really love that they're picking up the pace. But I want to know what you guys think. So leave me a message below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next on the nerd bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. But hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.